Get along into the bright light. Unload the clip, don't be shy. Bangers hitting as the cash piles high. Whispers of victory in the air. Every punt, every pass we care. Saturday mornings can't compare to the thrill and the wins we share. Grin on my face, coffee cup.
Oh, I just love this song. Sorry, guys. I got to play it one more time for people. Let's get the vibe going. It's Saturday, boys. Get into the chat. Tell me. Come on now. Let's hear the vibes. Come on. Pump me up. Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
College games on the screen all night long.
Yes, they will.
2-unit bangers feeling so strong.
Yep. Hello. Bruno in the building. Let's go. Come on. Turn this up.
Ready to spin.
Yeah.
Place your bets, it's time to win.
Come on. Let's go.
Tickets in hand, ready to cash.
Yeah. 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 Come on.
Feeling the rush as the seconds dash.
Sticky in the building.
Hit the
Let's
like and
go.
subscribe, alright. Get along into the bright light. Unload the clip, don't be shy.
Randy in the building. Nemo. Randy. Come on now. Oh, come on now. Yeah. Yeah.
Whispers of victory in
All right,
the
let's
air.
break it down.
Every punt,
I'm gonna fade this out a little bit. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Saturday Mornings with GunzPicks. I am the host with the most, the point guard of podcast, and the self-proclaimed CFB Go himself. And man, am I been on a heater in college football? If you've been following along, my God, have we been crushing the board? I'm up like 26 units in the last month, and I'm just loving cashing out some of my sports books and putting it in my account. Man, geez, it has been an absolute electric season that we hope to continue all the way into bowls. Randy in the building says, let's cash some tickets. I say, yes, let's cash some tickets. Jack for Kicks says, let's go, Guns. What's going on? So if you haven't seen this show before, or maybe you have, I break down the top 25 slate. I go from top to bottom. Of course, I'm not going to talk about every single game because there's a lot of what I call the mini bye weeks with a lot of these teams playing some FCS teams that are just playing like, a higher, stronger opponent to get a paycheck. But here, we're going to be talking about the main games today. And of course, let's start this off as we always do. As I go to my coffee maker, I put in I grind up the beans. I put it in. I put the water in the back of the coffee machine. A little drip, 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 drip. And you know what time it is. It's time to give out a cup of coffee parlay. Let's go. Yes, sir. Got a couple good ones here cooking. I have a 23-1 ticket today, boys. On Rutgers money line, Ohio State money line, Western Kentucky money line, Arizona State money line, UCF money line, and Louisiana money line, which is the play that I love today, even on the spread. And of course, my guys, my hat, Notre Dame money line and Baylor money line for a plus 2-3-1-9. You can go get that at FanDuel. And I don't just give you one. I always give you two, and this is the doggy one, at least quasi doggy one, because we got Western Kentucky in there that I think is minus money, but we have Kansas State money line that is playing a Colorado team that is way too hot, in my opinion, and of course, ended off with Sam Houston State. That's right, they're playing Jacksonville State today, and I think Sam Houston State is prime doggy today to win outright. Give me that at 10-1 on the 3-game doggy parlay for the cup of coffee. Here we go. Like I said, this show is for you guys. This show is for the chat. I love to just talk about ball. You ask the questions. I bring the comments, the opinions. And, of course, I have special guests along the way. I got them coming in pretty soon. But we're going to start this off. Let's talk some 25 action here today. Let's talk a little bit of Ohio State and Indiana. Playoff implications on the line, of course. And who needs this game more is kind of what you got to ask yourself, right? And the answer to that is The Buckeyes need this more. Buckeyes have a loss, right? They lost to Oregon. They not only need this for the college football playoff, they need this to stay in contention to go play in the Big Ten championship, because I think they're going to need to continue the momentum all the way through. And I think Ryan Day is going to have this team fired up. I love Signetti. As you know, if you've been watching along, I've been a proponent for him for years, but I think the step up in class is going to be a little bit too much in this situation, because statistically, both teams are identical. That you have Indiana with a plus 30 point differential, plus 198 net yard average, and an Ohio State team that has got a plus 28 point differential, plus 201 net yard average. But the strength of schedule is concerning on this one. Ohio State put up those numbers with the ninth toughest schedule in the country, where Indiana was 62nd. And depending on what strength of schedule you're looking at, you could even take a little bit further with Indiana, because Indiana's probably 9. If you add in all the remedial FCS teams that they've played or so, you could even take this a little bit further and say they're like 90th in toughest schedule. But you're seeing a double-digit dog here with the number 5 team in the country going against number 2. High indicators that we're looking at a trouncing here with the Buckeyes today. So, yeah, I took it at -10. I took it at -11.5. I took it at 12. Thought I was getting the best of the line when I bought it on Monday, and then it dipped to -10 on Friday, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy it again. You got to trust the confidence of your cap. I think this is a slam spot here for the Buckeyes here today at the shoe. So let's get it done for the Buckeyes. All right. Next game on the board. I'm gonna talk about every single game as we go along here, but this one is just not interesting to me. But I do have a lean. You have Wake Forest going against Miami today, and well, Wake Forest not having the best year in the world, right? And they're playing a Miami team that still has playoff implications on the line. I think they're still in contention. As far as the committee is concerned, they still weigh them heavy, even though they had that loss to Georgia Tech not too long ago. But this line to me is a little bit big. Granted, does Miami have a look ahead? Nah. I mean, they're going to play Syracuse next week, right? Is that really a look ahead? They're coming off that loss to Georgia Tech. They're coming off a bye, so they're rested in this one, playing at home. It could potentially be a flat spot for Miami, but who knows with Cam Ward, and who knows with this Wake Forest team that has just underperformed all season long. -44 net yard average on the year. They do play a little bit better at home. They have a +1 point differential at home with a +12 net yard average. So maybe there's an indicator there that you could probably take the dog. So I would probably lean towards that direction, even though I know that Wake Forest hasn't had the best year in the world, and Miami has thumped some teams along the way. I mean, they have a +22 net yard average. I'm sorry, a +22 point differential this year. And they've averaged 49-18 at home versus opponents with a +285 net yard average. So there is a possibility we could be looking at a thumping, or we could be looking at a flat spot here for Miami. Nothing I'm going to be playing on officially, but if there's a lean one way or the other, I'd probably say take the dog. I'm not high on Miami altogether. I just don't think this is a good opportunity to bet on, in my humble opinion. All right, next game on the board. Let's talk a little Ole Miss. There we go. Ole Miss going against Florida in the Swamp, road team, double-digit favorite, by the way, which is interesting to me because you have a Florida team that has really played well in their last few games. I mean, they're coming off a nice win versus LSU. And now they got to go and play an Ole Miss team that on the second leg of their home stretch that is humming as well. And I think it's credit to their defense. For the first time in a long time, Ole Miss has a defense, and they've been playing exceptionally well. What I like about this game, though, I think there's an opportunity to take Ole Miss in the first half. Just get the ticket, get out, and go home. And that's the way I would probably play this game. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the statistics with Ole Miss, and I'll bring them up here and just tell you what their first half outcomes have been. All right, I'm up and down the board, even with Georgia, and they're coming off a bye, by the way. This Ole Miss team, they had the lead 16-7. Arkansas 35-10. Oklahoma was a flat spot, but they were 10-14, so they lost that one. LSU on the road, they did lose that one. South Carolina 24-3. Going up the board 23-6, 31-3, 52-0. So what this team does and Ole Miss does, if they're going to win a game, they're going to thump you in the first half. And when you have the line indication that I looked at before the game, I was seeing 7.5s and 7s on the board here for the first half for Ole Miss. On a 12.5 point line, you can do the math, about 60%. So I think this is probably a high indicator. You're looking at a first half look here. I know that Florida has played good, at least in the last 4 weeks, beating Kentucky 48-20, staying within the number against Georgia, even though DJ Lagway got knocked out of that game. And of course, Texas, there is a asterisk to that because DJ Lagway, the quarterback, did not play in that game. They decided to rest him on the hamstring. And then, of course, they beat LSU last week at home. So, yeah, there could be a backdoor type situation, maybe even a close game for the full game. But I think there's a good spot here. I lean towards Ole Miss in the first half of that spot at 12 p.m. today. All right. Another interesting game here. You have a Virginia team that not having the best season in the world, of course, coming off that loss to Notre Dame last week. Did cover the spread, though, in a relatively backdoor fashion. So if you had Notre Dame tickets, I apologize for that one. Thankfully, I did not bet that game. We have an SMU team that is, to me, undervalued in the market. Their only loss this year was a 3-point loss to BYU. Since then, they've just absolutely destroyed teams left and right. And nobody's really talking about this SMU team at all. I don't know if it's going to take them going to the ACC championship and winning that one, but this team still has playoff implications because they only have that one loss. But they keep putting Miami in there. But I think if we get to I think with SMU right now, look at the rest of their schedule. Of course, they got to play Virginia. Then they have to play Cal. I want to take SMU in the ACC championship. So I'm kind of in my head looking at that spot for them, then looking at this spot. When you're looking at Virginia on the road, actually at home, minus 3-point differential versus having a minus 2-point differential on the road. Better team on the net yard average side with Virginia plus 28 net yard average. And they've played BC, Louisville, North Carolina. And they're coming off that, by margin loss to Notre Dame off a back-to-back. They haven't had any back-to-back, so there's no result factor here this season with UVA. But the line kind of feels short to me. I really think that maybe we're looking at maybe an overlook here by SMU. I know SMU only has Cal coming up. It's not really a rival or a look ahead or anything like that. But to me, if there is an underperformance with SMU, it is their road games. They're better at home, and they're coming off a by margin win. I mean, a 10-point win. So maybe there is some come down to earth here for a moment with the Mustangs. I'm not going to say they're going to get upset, but I do lean towards the UVA side slightly. It's nothing I'm going to actually put money on. But if we're going to be taking this game, we're going to avoid SMU altogether. And if you're going to be taking a side, I'd probably ride with the Cavaliers here at 12 p.m. Here's an interesting one. I kind of looked at this a little bit this morning. I never did a write-up for it or made it an official, but I did give it as a free play on my Discord, and I'll just give it out to you guys now. I think we're going to be looking at Rutgers here, and we're going to just take them on the money line to win the game minus 126. Really with Illinois, and I've been on the right side of Illinois a couple times this year, thankfully. But I've only taken them in splits in first halves because I thought they were a good first half team. However, what we know about Rutgers is two things. We know they like to run the ball, right? And we know they play very well in New Jersey. In New Jersey, they have a plus 7-point differential and a minus 14 net yard average. And they're going against a Illinois team that on the road has a minus, what is this? A minus 12 Yeah, minus 12 point differential and a minus 118 net yard average on the road. That gives you everything that you need to know about Illinois. And Illinois has been susceptible of giving up yards on the run. They gave up 5.4 yards per carry versus Penn State, 7.5 yards per carry versus Purdue. Oregon, they gave up 5.9 yards per carry, 4.6 yards per carry given up to Minnesota. So they are susceptible against in giving up a lot of yards to the run. And when you know about Rutgers at home, they can run the ball very well. 202 yards per game at home with 5.4 yards per carry at home. They're not a real big passing team. Of course, they take the transfer there, the Greek gunner or whatever they call him, but he's not really a gunner at all. But I think this is a good spot here for Rutgers to get a win at home. And of course, you look at their wins. They are bowl eligible already, so I thought there would be a good motivational factor to get to a bowl. But I think this is the last home game of the year. They're going to show up, and there's a reason why they're favored. An unranked opponent versus a ranked dog on the road. We always take the ranked favorite, unranked favorite, I should say. So yeah, give me Rutgers here at minus 126. Let's talk. We got Ricky Levine says, any thoughts on Arizona State game? Yes, I do, and I'll talk about that as we get down the board. Archimedes, he is a Discord member. I've seen him talking in there. He said Rutgers PTSD from that Wisconsin games. Absolutely, they want to listen. Back-to-back losses at home, by the way. They lost to UCLA in a narrow margin, only losing by a field goal. I think they want to show up here home in their last game. So motivation is everything in college football. And I think if anyone has a motivational spot here, it is Rutgers with Illinois, back-to-back road games to finish off the season. They got Northwestern next week. So no look aheads there, but I like the Rutgers side here on the money line. All right, next game on the board, as we have our guest in the queue. I'll wait for him to give me the thumbs up. I know he's always plugging bets here late. This one's tough. We have Kentucky and Texas. 3:30 p.m. is when this one kicks off. Here's the deal with Texas. Yes, when they play a lower tiered opponent or a mediocre opponent, they've excelled. They've excelled all year in those situations. And then really with Kentucky, they've lost 4 straight games. I'm not counting that win that they had last week versus Murray State. Those are the ones that you just know you needed that game to, kind of pump yourself up. They've only got 4 wins on the year. They need to win the rest of their games to actually get bowl eligible. So maybe there is a motivational factor there, but who knows there with Kentucky. Not high on this game at all. I don't think it's a situation where Texas is going to go out there and dominate. If they do, it's just going to make my bet stronger next week when A&M plays them. That's the look ahead really with Texas is they got the A&M game coming up. And if they do, when they do come out of this win, and hypothetically, if A&M wins, there's playoff implications on the line. And I'd rather wait and see the spot and see how A&M performs versus Texas, how they perform today, and then make that my barometer going into next week. Nothing I'm going to be playing on this one. Maybe lean towards the Kentucky side, but I'm going to pass altogether on this one. Go to this one too. Penn State versus Minnesota. Minnesota playing at home versus a Penn State team that seeing them at number 4 is just like, okay. But I mean, when I look at Franklin, what does he do? Unranked teams, he looks terrific. Their offense looks terrific. Their defense looks terrific. And then when they have that even a step to the level of class of Penn State, they crumble like a cheap suit. And it's consistent every single time. There's certain coaches that have that mentality. Brian Kelly does. Franklin does. It's absolutely consistent with these guys. So when I look at this game, you have a Minnesota team that is coming off a loss to Rutgers on the road for that matter, but they are coming off a bye, so they are rested in this one. And then Penn State is just playing out their schedule. They have Minnesota and Maryland next week. Do you see a flat spot here? Possibly. I mean, the last time these two teams met was in 2022. Penn State ended up winning that game 5-17. So nothing recent from last year to give you any indicators. But if there's anything, I probably lean towards the dog on this one. I just think Penn State probably plays a couple flat games. Then they end it off at home versus Maryland. Maybe put a little bit of a sprinkle staple on this one. Have one loss going in, and it looks like they're not going to be playing in. I mean, if Ohio State wins out, hypothetically, they're not going to be in the Big Ten championship. So you play out your season and you just wait for the college football playoff to come out and see what happens. But lean towards Minnesota. I just feel like this is going to be a flat spot here on their last road game of the year. All right. It was said in the chat, Ricky wanted to talk about Arizona State game, and I'm going to talk about it right now. BYU, Arizona State, 3:30 p.m. East. And listen, I haven't been high on the Cougars all year. I just haven't. They're playing at Mountain America Stadium at Tempe. And Arizona State, hand up, I miss this team. I never thought this team would have Dillingham or their head coach there at Arizona State really done a terrific job with this team. They have a plus 8-point differential, plus 61 net yard average. They're 8-2, and they're going against a BYU team that's coming off a loss to Kansas State in the dark in Provo. Now they got to go to the West Coast on the road. Technically, BYU's on the West Coast, mountain time, but they're off a loss at home. They have a plus 12-point differential, plus 82 net yard average. When you look at Arizona State, what do they want to do? They want to run the ball. 17th in rushing play percentage, 12th in rushing yards per game, and then Arizona State puts up 235 yards per game on the ground, 5.3 yards per carry. On the defensive side, though, BYU has shown some vulnerability against the run. They're ranked 66th in opposing rush yards per carry, 57th in opposing rush yards per game. They have been gashed by conference opponents as well. 5.3 yards per carry given up to Kansas State, 7.3 yards per carry given up to Oklahoma State, 6.2 yards per carry given up to UCF. And Arizona State has been a great team ATS-wise as well. 8-2 overall this year and 5-2 ATS at home. They're also 5-2 ATS as a favorite this year, and lo and behold, you see them as a favorite here. What I did here with this game is I got it at -3 early on because I kind of had a feeling when I saw that Arizona State was favored here versus a team that was still sitting in the top 10 with BYU. I had to take it here. It was just a weird line seeing them as a dog. Of course, BYU. Last 4 games, 1-3 ATS in that span, kind of sneaking out at that win versus Utah. They lost to Kansas State. Now they got to go travel to Arizona State as a dog. It's Arizona State all day for me. I'm not going to be. I know what the books are telling me. They're telling me Arizona State's going to win this one, and they're a good run team going against a team that has kind of been gashed in the run game by conference opponents. So Arizona State is the only way I would go with this one. So that is official. Arizona State all day long. Sox Nation, go Irish, baby. Yeah, I'll be talking about that game in a second. And he likes the ASU play today. Going to the next one here. We're just flying off the board. If anything, just like and subscribe to the GunzPicks channel, hit the thumbs up and hit the bell as my guest is waiting in the queue. I'll get him up in 2 seconds. I need you to get in the comment section too. Tell me what you're riding today. Tell me if you like any of the plays that I'm talking about here today in the top 25 slate. And basically just hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. All right, here's my guest. You've seen him on multiple shows, but of course, hitting the books is his big one there with Wobano Bets. He's on my show a lot. My man, C-Mac. What's going on, buddy? How you doing this?
Guns. Guns. What's going on, my man? Saturday. I love it. I'm ready for some football. College basketball's been taking on my weekdays, and it's been good all year. I found out a shitty day yesterday, so I'm ready to have a great Saturday morning. We only got a couple of these left, my man.
I know it's going by fast. You have this week, and then next week is the end of the regular season, conference championships, and then we're in bowl season.
Yep.
I'm gonna miss this because I've had a nice little run in the month in college football, I've been picking my spots in college basketball here and there. I hit Tennessee yesterday.
It's
Against
smart.
Baylor. Yeah.
Well, for me too. Sometimes you do the content in these shows a little bit with these tournaments. It's a back off for me. I've learned that over the years. I'd rather find more situations even before football's done. I'd rather get into conference play is where I really like it, and then of course we
Correct.
get into March.
Yep.
So that's like December, but January. But I still think there's money to be made. It's one of those things. It's not my first rodeo, and
Yeah.
it's not my first fucking day.
Well, I always write notes of my season, and I just put a recap so I can remind myself.
Exactly.
What I said was, don't slam the board in November and December. Wait till January. That's what I basically, and that's basically getting into conference play. But there are spots you can take in non-conference because some teams historically played a lot better in those spots. But I've been really, maybe if daily, I'll do 2 or 3 plays. That's about it, and I'll walk away. Like I should have played Duke yesterday versus Arizona. That was a spot I should have taken, and I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah, Duke killed it.
Yeah, Duke killed it. The freshmen killed it. Cooper Flag looked great. Knipple or whatever his name is there, just hitting threes left and right. Absolutely great game. And of course, Ricky says, C-Mac, what's cracking, my man? He loves
Ricky
having C-Mac in there. But I just talked about the BYU and Arizona State game. Did you have any thoughts on this one, or was this a complete pass for you?
Yeah, this is a pass for me. I kind of lean Arizona State. I think everything's kind of faded here with BYU, the hot start. But when you look at them, this team still has gone on the road. By the way, I am having computer or internet issues here. When you when you look at them, they've been great on the road, though. BYU, they've won, they've covered. So it's like, I don't know if you want to just be running away here to the 3. And Arizona State, they've been better at home. Their losses have been on the road, where they've been in trouble. It's like Texas Tech, where they've gone these few spots and lost. So I love their running back. The quarterback's pretty good, and their defense is solid. But I think this game could be close. Arizona State's off the big win last week that I really didn't see coming from them. That was great. So tough one for me. That's a game I just didn't get involved with.
Yeah, I'm on the I'm on the Arizona State side on this one, even though, but right now it's at -3.5, and even at -3.5, I'd just be like, ooh. You could see this being a field goal game on any which direction, but I think BYU, you're starting to see who they really are, especially saw them against Kansas last week. That's kind of the side that we're looking at on that one. Let's go to this game, though. Let's talk a little bit about Dion and Shador and Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter basically, I think, put the nail in the coffin of the Heisman last week versus Utah. Some of the incredible plays that he made. Some of them I thought were just kind of the ball bounced his way as far as the interception is concerned. But he had a great goal line run, like juking out like 4 or 5 guys to get a touchdown there. But they're playing a Kansas team that really is 4-6 on the year. I tell you what, they ain't playing like a 4-6 team at all. They're actually ranked, if you look at their last 5 games, they're ranked 16th in the country in the last 5 games, if you're just looking at that sample size in the power rankings. So Colorado versus Kansas. You got any thoughts on this game?
Man, I don't know what can happen in this game. I mean, this Colorado team's won 8 straight ATS. Yep. I find this could be a difficult spot. And Kansas is finally, they can win these last 2 games and very well could and get to a bowl game after just being a fucking disaster of a season, especially early on where they just couldn't finish. Those second halves were just horrible. I mean, it was so bad, but a lot better football. I mean, this is it at Arrowhead, right? I mean, it's their home game, but I think there'll be plenty of Colorado. I think this game's good. I really could find an edge here. Are you on something here?
I wrote some notes on this one. I kind of have a small.
And what do you think of the total? Do you think 59? And you think it's really there's gonna be that many points and get over that?
Well, I mean, if you like the Kansas side, I probably would lean towards the under because Kansas wants to run the ball and kind of control the clock.
Yeah.
I think if you're strategically doing this from a coaching standpoint. You want to control the time of possession, and Kansas has the ability to do that with a running game. Colorado just wants to score on you fast and then knock you out early. But what my concern with Colorado is everyone says like, oh, they're playing great. I was like, well, yeah, well, who you play though? Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas,
Oh,
Tech,
yeah.
Utah.
It's all
okay.
in.
And Utah was on their fourth string quarterback, fifth string quarterback. I think they pulled a guy from the crowd. I don't know. But you with Kansas, you can't beat them by margin. They've only lost by 10, I think the most by 10 to TCU, and everything else was within a possession. Their luck rate was just off the charts as far as their losses are concerned. Like I said, they're not necessarily a 4-6 team. I still think that they want to get to a bowl game. I think there is a motivation to get there. There is a path that they can get there, but they have to win their last 2 games. And you're seeing the line here so short with the team at home. I think Kansas is the spot, the only way I'd want to go with this one, because I think the value of Colorado is through the rafters right now and too high in my opinion. And right now, the way that Kansas is playing, they just beat Iowa State. They just beat BYU. This is not a team that is just off the highs of highs, obviously. If it was, they would have lost to BYU by margin. They did not. And I think this is another spot where they can take out a ranked opponent. So give me Kansas. I'm going to take my shot on this one with Kansas.
I like it. That's where I'd be too. The only road game, I mean, Texas Tech, that game was way tighter. And there was that junk touchdown with 7 seconds left that made it 41-27. I mean, it was a one-score game, and Texas Tech, like they do at times, made mistakes. But that game was a lot closer. Yeah, this will be their toughest road game because all the other ones, UCF, just a down team this year, and they took care of business. And, of course, Arizona, who's been awful. And they lost at Nebraska. That's a long time ago, but Nebraska was a little bit different.
That was a pound of flesh game, too. Nebraska wanted their comeuppance on this one, and they had them at home at night. So I think that was a tough spot there for Colorado. But ever since that game, the team has been a lot different and just been thumping teams. Hand up to Dion. I thought this team was just not going to be good ever. And now, lo and behold, they're sitting here at 8-2. But seeing that line as short as it is, I think Kansas has the ability to get bowl eligible and finish the season off strong, and might as well just take them and ride this Kansas Jayhawk wave.
Take care of the Rock.
Yeah, take care of the Rock. It's gonna be huge for them.
I mean, it's in a game like this, it's so huge. It's been the biggest. I've never been on, it's like a little bit with college basketball.
Yeah.
Turn the ball over, and if you're just ice cold shooting, you're fucked. Like UCF was that yesterday, which I had against Wisconsin. They just got to make a shot and turn the ball over. And when you don't make a shot, guess what? You're going to lose. Like, especially if the other team's a little hot. So, and in college football, if you turn the ball over, and I've been on a few just this year where I've talked about it. I'm like, for a team, it's just like they fumble every fucking time. Their first, 4 or 5 possessions, you'll lose.
Every time I see a turnover, I'm like, you just gave 6 points to the other team. Yeah, it's in my head. I was like, you just gave 6 points. It's like, because that changes the momentum. And what is the offense going to do? They're gonna do a play action, and they're gonna go hit a bomb 1-on-1 with a guy. They're either gonna get a PI or they're gonna get a guy that's just gonna be open on a big play and then move the ball into the red zone. And lo and behold, you'll get a touchdown. Yeah, turnovers crush you in college football. And of course, Ricky Levine says, like Kansas in this game. And he talks about the West Virginia game today. Any thoughts on that one? Or
yeah, I'd be on West Virginia here. I haven't bet this game. I've looked at it all week. This team's been dog shit at home. It's just that's what's like keeping me off. I've been on them where I'm like, they're at home, they're catching a field goal. Like, this is where I backed them years and years and years. And it's been pretty much money. And it just hasn't. The defense hasn't been good. And then at home, the offense just hasn't been able to get it done. Now, last week, they were better. I don't have anything up because my shit's out, but they were better. They went to the quarterback change with them. So is that better? I'd be on them or nothing. I've been looking at that kind of all week, sitting with that. Should I move here on West Virginia? Because I have a couple times, and it's already got me this year.
Yeah, you said it best, though, is like West Virginia just better on the road than they are at home, right? And that's
so weird to say, though.
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean,
It
this
really
team,
is, especially in college football, where you think, and West Virginia has always been like a very volatile place to play.
but
Yet
yeah,
you're seeing this team fall on its face every single time. And what drives me nuts it's UCF, right? So yeah, with UCF, they give you a line that gives you an indicator that the sharp line is to take UCF. And what do? They just completely fall on their face. That line that they had, I'm going back weeks ago, of course, when they against Colorado, I think they were double-digit favorite at one point. I was like, how is this possible with this team? What are you seeing in this UCF team that I'm missing? Because every time I look at them, I'm like that they just keep falling on their face left and right. I'm not a Malzahn guy, anyways, for any means. I wasn't with Auburn.
yeah.
I'm not here. And of course, KJ Jefferson or whoever's going to be the quarterback today. I'm not high at this team at all. I have no opinion really on this one, but who needs the win more? Probably West Virginia. They got to get a home win. Maybe they're going to be motivated just to get some home wins on this one. Peter Grasny in the chat says, since I've ragged on Colorado, they've been winning. True speed week. I conceded. I took Colorado last week. I said I waved the white flag. I surrender. You guys are good. You know what? Like I was shitting on you for ever since Dion took the job, and now I can't. You've made it very apparent that you've brought this team back, and everybody's like, "Oh, Dion's leaving." Well, you see the recruits that he's bringing in. It gives you a high indicator. He ain't going anywhere. He's looking to dominate it for the Buffaloes. So yeah, I've conceded with this one, and you might as well just ride the train. If you get some value on Colorado, go ahead and take it. But I like Kansas today. I'm not going to be running in front of that freight train that I can't. By the way, you got to remember about Kansas. Kansas is one of the most experienced teams in the country. This is a team that's been together for 3 or 4 years now, from the quarterback to the running back to the offensive lineman, everywhere. I mean, they're just a very experienced team. So yeah, that's the way I would go with this one. Okay, let's talk about my guys. Big game. Shamrock Series, right? Army, number 19 in the country, undefeated going into this game, of course, going against a Notre Dame team that, well, this is be the second triple option that they face this season. You got any thoughts on this game?
No, I think if Notre Dame keeps playing the way they are, they can run away with this. One thing that's a little bit different here from Navy, Army is better than Navy. Let's just get to that flat out. And Navy put it on the turf the first 3 possessions in that football game, and that was over. Just like that, right after the first quarter.
Yep.
So I think if they take care of the ball, they could be in this. Like at Notre Dame's, the numbers have gotten are a little bit against the run. They're giving up like 140. They've been dominant against the pass. That great secondary that they have, even with a few injuries. But the offense has just clicked, and they've been money. So I think they will be able to score. Can Army really score on this Notre Dame defense? I don't know. I don't know if they can hang around here and keep it around the 2 touchdowns or so. The Irish have been rolling. This is the best Irish team, and especially ATS Irish team, Guns. You even have to fucking admit that. No Irish team's been 8-2 in a long time. It's you could probably find that maybe 10 years ago. I mean, every year it seems like they're just like 4-6 or 3-8 or some bullshit.
Right.
They can never cover numbers, and they're giving them the one last week. Most people covered. If you look up a lot of stats, they took under the 20, and they're giving them that cover. It depends what you got. So I don't want to go there with the fucking numbers. But yeah, the Irish. I mean, it's hard to go against, but in the end, I think they win. It's just, do you want to lay it here? And I don't blame anyone that does.
Yeah. I actually took Notre Dame. I got it to the when they hit the 14. I just took it because it got to that key number. But this is a Notre Dame win by margin. It's no different than what the Navy game, and what gave me the indicator that this was a Notre Dame spot is you just look at the Navy game. I think that Army is a better team than Navy is, but Navy got minus 13.5 on a neutral field. But Army's getting 14. I think it opened at 17, went down to 14.5. Now 14s. It's above whatever it is. It's above the number that Navy got. So That gives me everything I need to know about this one. Of course, it's the Shamrock Series, too. If you actually go and look at the history of the Shamrock Series, Notre Dame has dominated in this game. 12-0 straight up, 9-3 ATS, winning by an average margin of 22.4 points per game in the Shamrock. And you said it. I mean, Notre Dame used to be, if you saw them as a double-digit favorite against anybody, you take the other side because that team always played to the level of their competition, and it could, in some cases, they would either lose outright or just be a nail biter right down the stretch. They just would not get motivated for these games. But something happened to this team since they lost to NIU. It's like Freeman coached them up and says, you cannot take any game for granted anymore. And no opponent is weaker. He's like, you got to go 110% like you're playing Alabama every single week. And that's what this team's mentality has been down the road. And it started with the Purdue game when they put up 66 on that team and absolutely thumped them. It's like they have been covering as a double-digit favorite all season long. They're 5-2 ATS in those spots. Their 2 non-covers were against MAC teams. And you have an Army team that is sitting here as a double-digit dog. They were not a dog at all this season. And they face the one of the weaker schedules in the country.
Yes, that's another thing.
It's very similar to the Navy cap. So what happened in the Navy game? Notre Dame won 51-14. Granted, +6 in the turnover ratio kind of helped with that one. But yeah, I think this is a Notre Dame spot for me.
They were a little loose anyways, but that just took it right out of, Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I mean, that was just one barometer. They still won the net yardage battle in that game too. So it wasn't like they weren't putting up yards. They hit all their averages. And I just think that Army's going to be overmatched here versus, like you said, this is one, and I agree with you. Granted, this is a Notre Dame team that has had teams that have made the college football playoff, but I don't think they've been as all around as strong as those. This is the strongest team to me than the ones that made college football playoffs completely. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm a fan, but I've watched. So I'm very, I can see them clear. I know when they're bad. I know when they're good, and I know what their weaknesses are. I think their passing game's kind of weak, but if they're able to run the ball against anybody in the country, then
true. And Ronnie Leonard looks healthy.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing. He was hobbling around for forever. The lingering injuries. It seems like he's the last month or so feeling good and looking good, running everywhere. So that is huge. That is key. So I've seen enough too. I watched enough Notre Dame football as a kid. I mean,
I've watched every snap since I was maybe a teenager. It's me
too. I was even younger than that. So
yeah,
when I would watch them. Yeah,
and the ones I can remember. Of course, my brain cells are all bad from my hard days in college. But I mean, I've been a fan since I was I don't even remember the national championship that they had when I was 8 years old. So
I remember the most I started to remember was 93, 92, 93.
When they had Jerome Bettis and they had Rick Meyer. When they beat Florida State and then they lost to BC by a field goal and crushed their national champ. That was a national championship team that they that's Notre Dame for you. Being a fan of them is I guess it'd be no different than, they're in quasi in the Chicago area. So I guess it'd be equivalent to being a Chicago fan. All right. Let's go to the next game on the board. This game I have no opinion on. It's Alabama versus Oklahoma. What a fall from grace Oklahoma is. They got to fire Venables and start over. Venables is a coordinator. He's not a head coach. And now they're playing an Alabama team with Kalen DeBoer. I guess they're doing well. They're kind of sitting maybe quasi in the driver's seat, but they still need to win out their games. Alabama versus Oklahoma. Any thoughts in this game?
No, I've given you a lot of no's. We'll get to some games that I bet. Yeah. I don't trust Oklahoma enough. This seems good. They are off a bye, right, Guns? Just because I don't have anything. I believe so.
Yeah, I'll double check.
Yeah, I mean, and they are at home, but when it's just offense is just nowhere near what it has been in the past. And their defense has kept them around in games at arm's length to teams, but they've still lost, and they still lost by double digits. I think if Alabama doesn't turn the ball over plays out, if they do cover. Now, if they mess around here, nothing's one to back. I mean, when I see this, I mean, it's just crazy to see. It's like Oklahoma getting these points, take them. It's like at home, but I can't do it. I can't put my fucking money on it. I've seen them all year enough, week in and week out. Whoever's playing quarterback too, it hasn't mattered. You know, they don't have the weapons. Whether they've left, the injuries, it's been a rough time. And maybe, they got to scrap it all with it. I knew he wasn't head coach, but and they're learning the hard way there at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think there was a reason why he stayed as the defensive coordinator as long as he did. He was there was years where they were talking about him being a head coach, and when he finally took it, now you're seeing why he waited so long. But yeah, you said it. It used to be anytime Oklahoma played in Norman against anybody, you would just take Oklahoma automatically. Now you're getting points at Oklahoma, which is alarming. I think this is like the second time that I remember this happened. I think they had to play another SEC opponent and got crushed.
Well, now that's the thing. They're bad and they're in the SEC. Ha!
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's right. You said it. It's like Big 12 football was the reason why they were winning at Norman, right? So
Yes.
Now the step up in class. Now you're getting humbled a little bit in your first year there. Well, I guess Texas is flourishing, but I think Texas is on borrowed time too. Maybe against A&M next week. We shall see when the line comes out. But this is a non-touch for me. I have no opinion on this one. I've just been ignoring Oklahoma games altogether all season long. I don't have a feel on that team whatsoever. Same thing with Bama. I don't think I've played a lot of Bama spots, just like maybe one or two this year. But here's a team I've played a few spots on: A&M versus Auburn. Now I've never played the Auburn side. I don't think I've put in one bet on Auburn all season long. But you have a game here. Look ahead with A&M going to Texas next week. This line is continually going in the opposite direction. This is almost a pick 'em with Auburn, and I don't understand it. Do you have any thoughts on this one? What's going on with this game?
Yeah, you say that. I don't think I've bet Auburn either. A little strange too.
Yeah.
And this is normally a game that I want to get involved with him. Yeah, you know why I haven't taken him? The guy that's the quarterback, Peyton Thorne. Thorn in your fucking side. This guy fucking sucks. Listen, he stinks, dude. You want your fucking money? Like, the steam's going to him this week, and it's like it's the trap game, this number, and Auburn could pull it off. They've done this plenty of times. That their bad teams beat Bama, and that's next week. But I can't take them. Their defense is decent, but it's not great. And I faded them 3 or 4 times already with success. Cal earlier in the week, or in the year, Vandy, which beat him, right? I mean, and this is down to 1. Place will be loud, of course. They're at home. Can't back Thorne. I think the under's decent. This has moved up though a little bit, from 46.5 to 47.5.
Right.
It's just like when you see this, you're just like telling me A&M's not better. Just take him. Like, no fucking way. I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Hey, you might have had a hit on the total in this one. This just feels to me that the line's telling me this is just going to be a flat spot here for A&M. Do I think they're going to lose
the big game too? They got Texas, right?
They got Texas on deck, so maybe they're not going to show all their cards, and they're just going to try to sneak out here with a win. I can see that happening here. They need this. It's not like they're unmotivated to play this game. Texas A&M needs this game. They need to stay. They've already got 2 losses. They lost to South Carolina on the road. That kind of killed their hopes and dreams slightly, but they're still in my opinion. But especially if they get that win versus Texas. This is a complete pass for me, but you talked about the total. I think maybe we have a look here at the under, just on the sheer fact that I don't think Texas A&M is going to unload the clip here with Auburn. I think they're going to try to save some stuff for Texas for next week, not give away all the cards. They're just going to try to figure out how to get past Auburn here. Auburn should be motivated. They need to win back-to-back games to even get bowl eligible. So is that motivation there? I don't think so. they're off a big win versus ULM. They beat Kentucky. They stayed within the number. Actually, no, they lost by 10 to Vandy at home. I don't.
Yeah, that's eyes on Vandy. Yeah,
But you said it. Peyton Thorne has been a thorn in everyone's side back to when he was a starter for Michigan State. I mean, he's not good. It's like oh, we got a transfer quarterback. Who'd you get him from? Iowa. Yeah.
You know when he looks good against Monroe, against New Mexico State, like he has a crazy game with 4 touchdowns and runs for 150 yards. He's not a passing quarterback, so
right.
You're already in the hole.
He should transfer to the Sun Belt then. Go be the quarterback for Texas State or something next year. I mean, I don't know what you. Yeah. I mean, if your numbers are so like egregious and terrible in P4 football, why just go to the G5s and find a way to excel and be a 5th or 6th round pick and get yourself a paycheck in the NFL. I don't know what to tell you, man. But Peyton Thorne is Thome, I should say.
He ain't never going to the NFL. Don't even say that, Guns. Yeah. He ain't going to the NFL.
No, Stop it. I'm just saying.
I don't know what you were saying right there. Yeah, he ain't a 5th or 6th round.
If he goes plays for GJ Kenny and like TJ Finley went over there and boosted his value a little bit when he played last season. So I'm just giving you some sort of an indication that maybe if you're a dog shit quarterback in the P4s, go get coached up by a team that runs a spread offense in the G5 and fluff up your numbers. Arca P, I don't even know how to say his name, but Iowa stomped Maryland, right? It's Maryland. Come on. Well, okay. But Ricky likes Texas A&M today. Listen, I'm not going to touch this game. I think this line is weird. Lean towards the under. That's.
I mean, it's at a 1 now. Like, yeah,
something's going on that I'm missing, and I didn't really cap this game at all just because I thought the line was so short, and I will never put any money in my wallet into Auburn whatsoever. So, God bless you.
And now Auburn has to win the game. I mean, they have to win this game to cash the ticket.
Maybe A&M's in danger here, but I guess we'll see. Maybe Texas A&M just thumps them, and you know the sharp movement. Yeah, it does happen, especially in college football this year. I've been on the wrong side of lines left and right, and I'm still doing well. So I don't know how that's happening, but let's go to the next game here. We got Utah coming off that loss versus Colorado last week. Quarterback issues through the wazoo. I feel bad for that for the program this season, but they're going against an Iowa State team that cashed me the ticket last week. Got me over on their wins at 7.5. They got 8 wins. They're ranked. Looks like Matt Campbell's not going to get fired. He's done a great job this season. I like this Iowa State team altogether, and they're going against a Utah team at night. Is this one of the spots that they come out flat, or are we looking at an Iowa State spot here, C-Mac?
I would not lay it here with Iowa State. I just would not. We saw BYU, even how pathetic Utah is right now. I think this could be dangerous. I mean, and this Utah offense is just bad. I mean, who's in at quarterback? But they moved it a little bit against a decent BYU defense. But this Iowa State defense is overrated. This team, is not very good. Cupcakes early, tough schedule, giving up a bunch of points to UCF and others. They got the win, but they still have a big title, Big 12 title. They could go in there and win. I don't want them. And this is a layup, kind of like I think they can win here. I think the under's a little bit. It's one spot. Utah's defense has looked a little leaky the last few weeks. But fuck, I don't want. You want to bet this game? Are you betting this game? You taking Iowa State?
No, I'm not touching this.
All right.
I was reluctant to cash my ticket because they lost 2 straight. They lost to Texas State, they lost to Kansas, and then they got that win versus Cincinnati that kind of put it over. Now I'm off.
Yeah.
I catch the over on their wins. They got to play Kansas State and Utah. And they got to play Utah on the road at night. Even though that Utah really has lost 6 straight, losing to Colorado by margin, they kept it close with BYU, even though that's a rivalry game. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. They kept it close with TCU at home. So at home, they've done okay. Isaac Wilson, I think is Zach Wilson's brother or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I thought he played well against Colorado. He had a nice throw where he challenged Travis Hunter and hit the guy on a dime. I even though he's got a 54% pass completion rate, maybe he found something in that offense. 241 passing yards in that game, but yeah, I don't want anything to do with this game at all. Some games I don't even have to examine at all. I just know that I'm not going to be touching this game.
Like they have to win by a touchdown in Salt Lake at night.
Yeah.
Like, do I really want my money on that? Like, I mean, just how bad Utah is, but it's like, am I that comfortable right now with this Iowa State team, which I am not.
No,
with a quarterback's been there for a while. The defense, I'm bragging on it, but I just thought they haven't been great at times. And they've got gashed.
Utah at night used to be automatic.
Oh yeah,
it's not automatic anymore. So yeah, that's why I'm staying off of this one. But that breaks down. I talked about most of the top 25 slate. Was there any games that in the early slate that you were looking at?
Early slate.
We're talking like Ohio State, Indiana, Ole Miss, Florida.
I'm on Boston College.
Oh, okay.
That's the spot where I want them. I don't trust North Carolina at all. Boston College wants to get to a bowl game. They got to win this game. The quarterback, Grayson James, was like, I'll take 237, a touchdown and a pick. Like, if he does that again, they should be able to run the ball at home on this North Carolina team, who's played better. They've already got to 6 wins. They won, easy. Didn't cover last week, of course, against Wake Forest. I just think this team shouldn't be even a field goal. Not in BC. Cold weather, gritty, even with the backup quarterback. Good riddance. The whole thing with Castellanos. And I think they have the better defense. At times, Boston College just got beat up. But I still think they're better than UNC. So I took the 3 there. Also in the early games, I'm on the under the 56 in Ole Miss, Florida. I think this is the game you could deal with Florida's team total under. You can get under 3 touchdowns. I mean, this Ole Miss defense has just traveled, and I think it's going to be difficult for Florida to do much. And Florida's defense has been at times better at home. It depends on the team. Like right away, they got their ass kicked. Miami week 1. But I think they've gotten a little bit better, through the weeks. We saw it last week with LSU. So, this gets into a shootout. Every once in a while that happens. You talk about the old Big 12 shootouts, SEC. But I think Ole Miss holds them down, and Florida can do enough to keep this under 56. It's just a little bit too high. And Ole Miss unders, I've just been money for me all year long.
Ole Miss first half has been pretty good, too. I think if
they're off the bye. Yeah, I mean, so, yeah.
Yeah, if they want to go put their if Ole Miss is going to win a game, they're going to come out in the first quarter and crush your soul, and that's kind of where the line is. I think 60% of the line is weighted towards the first half too. So
they got a lot of steam here this morning.
Yeah,
went up to 13 and a half.
Favorite against a Florida team that's actually been playing decent. That is a high indicator to me. But that breaks down the board. We're getting towards kickoff here, as I see in Miami. Looks like that game's going to kick off right now. But I'll give the floor to C-Mac as always. Thank you for joining me once again. You are the man. He's doing some good work over there at oh God, now my brain
hitting the books.
Hitting the books. I wanted to say book it, and I stopped myself. Hitting the books. Go check it on YouTube. Him and
Guns just wants me at book it. He wants me. He fucking wants me there. It's that's what he sees. Book it. He sees me.
Yeah. Well, I got NFL in my head. I got college football in my head. My brain is fried. I'm not sleeping. Go hit in the books. Go check that out on YouTube. The floor is yours, C-Mag. Tell them where they can find you on all social media platforms and throw out some picks if you want to.
Connor Mac picks on X. aka Twitter, whatever it's called now. Let's hit a couple bets. Who asked this? Was it Ricky in here? The Wisconsin game? I took Wisconsin. I took them the 2.5. Take a money line. Yeah. Nebraska just hasn't beat them, and Raiola's guaranteeing a win. The coaching staff is all out of whack there at Nebraska. I've already cashed their win total under. Well, I think we swept. I had 4 or 5. We did the hitting the books the first week. We've cashed them all already, done in the books like 2 weeks ago. Nice. No way any of them can get there. So the win totals. So I took them money line, flat out. So there's your answer, Ricky. I'm on Wisconsin. Let me give a couple more. I took Arizona here. I just don't trust in the end. TCU gets a big win against Oklahoma State. That's straight flat. That's just their season's done with. And this is hard to trust them, but I think that defense is so bad and leaky. And every time they've been double digits, they haven't covered. They won't here today. Yeah. And one other one, I took the over. Tulsa, South Florida, over 60 points. And look out, I think Tulsa could cover. This team sucks, just like the over, but I watched the 18.5 there in that game. That's it.
All right. So that's going to do it here for the show. Of course, Peter says, good show. Thank you, Guns. C-Mac, awesome. Let's have ourselves a day. And make sure you like and subscribe to the GunzPicks channel. Hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, and share.
Cash, baby. How about La Tech last week? And how bad was the beat with San Jose? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people.
We talked about that
the dirtiest beats of all time. I mean, up there. I mean, that's maybe worse.
It's top 3, at least top.
It's 3. Up there. It's up there.
First and goal at the 1, and you can't punch it in.
But they were up by a touchdown, and then they gave it up, and then the pick 6. Then they drive all the way down to the 1. Can't get in. That would have been a monstrous day. I had Nash's yards over, cashed easy, had a big game. Did it last night. That's why I stayed off them. We're on hitting the books. I'm like, these 7.5's not enough. UNLV's not been great on the road, and that could hang around. And that game was close. But look, they didn't cover last night.
I was on UNLV -7 out of spite because.
Well, there you go. You got the cover. It wasn't easy, but
San Jose State has proved if they're playing at home, they can't cover a spread. So
there you go.
But that's
you went the other way and cashed.
Yeah.
Good work.
That's gonna do it here for the Saturday Mornings with GunzPicks. C-Mac, thanks for joining me once again. We'll be back next week, and we'll be talking about I'll be back Saturday. The last regular season week before we get into conference playoffs. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful yet depressing time, but we've been cashing tickets left and right. Hopefully we gave you the smartest information on the planet. Please like and subscribe to both of our channels, Hitting the Books and the GunzPicks channel. Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the bowl. And as always, let's keep dancing. Bang!
Deadlines, money rolling in. Saturday mornings, let the games begin. Totals and spreads.